This is Robert Littal with Black Sports Online, and I have on the line with me the president of HBO Sports, Ken Hershman, to talk about the 2013 HBO boxing year. We really appreciate having him on. The first question that I had for you, sir, I'm assuming at the beginning of the year that you set your goals and you had some expectations at the beginning of the year, and now that the year is coming to a close, do you feel that you've met those expectations or even exceeded those goals?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, Robert, and we certainly always set the bar very high for ourselves, and then try and over-deliver even on that. And I think that as we entered 2013, we had, a great 2012. We had Fight of the Year and Fighter of the Year and Knockout of the Year and a whole bunch of other accolades. We programmed tremendous boxing. The fans responded, so we had a very high standard to live up to. So as we entered 2013, we were looking to exceed that, and we think we did in many respects. We brought back big stars to the network like Miguel Cotto and Andre Ward after an injury, and Chavez came back, and Tim Bradley came back in a big way, Sergio Martinez. We wanted to introduce new fighters, which we did. We brought Golovkin and Kovalev and Stevenson and Provodnikov and Mikey Garcia to the fore. The fans responded. They loved that. And we programmed a number of fights that really knocked it out of the park, including Froch Kessler and Bradley Provodnikov and Rios Alvarado too, among others that are certainly leading contenders for Fight of the Year awards. And all while maintaining our leadership position in the ratings and growing our audience. So when we look back, we think, wow, that was a pretty good year.
And, you just mentioned that you introduced these new stars, to the casual fans, the Golovkins, the Adonis Stevensons, the Kovalevs. How do you, in 2014, how do you turn those new stars into crossover stars like a Manny Pacquiao and a Miguel Cotto?
Yeah, that's the challenge, and you have to do it through, matching them properly, putting them in compelling events, and supporting them outside of the ring with the HBO platform the way we have in the past. And the fans really, they're very much drawn to fighters like Gennady Golovkin and Sergey Kovalev and Adonis Stevenson and Russell and Provodnikov and Mikey Garcia because of their fighting style. So, we'll be able to continue to grow their brand and, putting them in signature defining fights is the way to do that. And that's what we're looking to do in 14.
Now, you just spoke about how HBO boxing, of course, you consider you guys the leader when it comes to boxing, and it's been like that for a long period of time. When you think of, Showtime boxing, do you see them as a rival, or do you just keep your entire focus on what you guys are doing at HBO and what's best, for HBO?
Yeah, no, we always just really work to see what's best for HBO and play our game, and then we think we'll be okay, and that's what we did in 2013. We played our game. We brought these new stars out. We brought our old standbys out. Manny Pacquiao was resurrected, and people saw that he still has tremendous appeal as well as tremendous skills, and they haven't deteriorated. And put on epic fights and had a strong run. So we figure if we do all that, we're fine. And if other people do good boxing, that's good for boxing, good for HBO.
And one of the misconceptions out there when you talk about, if good boxing is out there, that's good for everybody. But one of the misconceptions is that HBO only works with top-ranked fighters, when in fact you work with several promotional companies, and you talked about some of the other fights that you put on that didn't have anything to do with top rank. But how do you change that perception that it's, HBO is just a top-rank, channel at this point?
Well, I think that again, we just have to keep programming the fighters that make sense for the network, and then people will begin to, to understand. I think we worked with 10 or 11 different promotional entities in 2013, and whoever brings us the best content and is aligned with our, business interests and our method of working together, is going to have a nice relationship here, and that's what we look to do.
And could you see a scenario where if in 2014 Golden Boy fit into what you guys wanted to do and wanted to have a conversation, that you may work with them at some point?
Yeah, I mean, we never rule out working with anyone, as long as everybody's interests are aligned and we're on the same page about what the expectations are. We don't rule anything out. There's no closed door here, as evidenced by the fact that we work with, so many different people in 13.
Now, one of the things that, I like, and I'm very big on social media, is you guys, had the instant highlights. That was something new that you guys kind of brought into the fold, especially for people that couldn't, get to the fights or maybe didn't have HBO, but they could watch these instant highlights and maybe pique their interest to get HBO to see these fights. We see some other executives like Steven Espinoza very high on Twitter and social media, a very high profile, while you seem to take a little bit more of a low-profile approach. Do you see yourself personally getting more involved with social media, speaking with the fans, and so on and so forth like that?
Yeah, that's, again, you have to sort of know where your strengths are, and I believe social media is a great tool, a great marketing tool, a great place to have people interact about your product. I don't know that necessarily they want to interact with me so much, but if the demand is there, I'm happy to do it. I just think that it's more compelling coming from our announce team and from the fighters themselves, and seeing what's on their mind and really what's on my mind. So much of what I do is behind the scenes, things I can't really talk about publicly. I'm not sure, beyond the sort of gossip mill, how much I can contribute, but I'm there to do it if people want it.
Now, another thing that you brought back this year was the Legendary Nights documentary. The Gotti versus Ward was universally praised by everyone, and I know myself, I loved it. A lot of people want to know in 2014, with such a big catalog of fight history that you guys have, will we be seeing more Legendary Night documentaries in 2014?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to do more. Gotti Ward, that trilogy just had so many layers and twists and turns to it, and the fights were so compelling, the personalities were so compelling. We need to find something that lives up to that, because we hold ourselves to, as I said before, a very high standard of storytelling. But I think it's a great franchise, and sure, we'd love to do more if we can find the right stories to tell.
And last question for you, and this is kind of from, to kind of take you out of the executive chair and put you in the fan chair. What was your favorite fight of 2013, and what fight would you like to see most on HBO in 2014?
For me, it's easy. I think Bradley Provodnikov for me was the best fight of the year on any network. And the reason I say that is it had so many changes in momentum. It was fought at such a high level, and you had a fighter in Russell Provodnikov that maybe people didn't know much about, but he took Tim Bradley to places that Tim didn't even know he had or could go. And I always talk about Bradley as one of these fighters that just always finds a way to win somehow. And when I saw what he was going through in the Provodnikov fight, I didn't know how he was going to figure it out, but boy did he. And that to me is why Bradley Provodnikov is the number one fight of 13. Going into 2014, there's so many fights I'd love to see. I don't want to talk about any specific matchups just yet, because once people hear that HBO wants it, they want to raise the price tag for me. But you can imagine I'm a fan first, and you can imagine pretty closely to what you guys want is what I want.
Well, we really appreciate you taking out the time, and thank you so much for all of the great boxing that came through HBO in 2013, and we're looking forward to a big year, an even better year in 2014.
Thank you so much, Robert.
You have a wonderful day. That was Ken Hershman, president of HBO Sports. This is Robert Littal, and you can check out all of our boxing updates at BlackSportsOnline.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at BLK Sports Online and on Facebook at BLK Sports Online.